If you're waiting for the new year to start those new habits and set those new routines in place and go after your goals, then I hate to break it to you, it's probably not going to work. If you want to find out why, keep watching. And before you say anything, it's not just me. There are some studies that show that up to 80% of New Year's resolutions fail by February. In the past, I've made the exact same mistake. I will say to myself, as soon as January 1st hits, I'm going to start doing A, B, C, D, all the way through to Z. I'm going to achieve this, I'm going to do that, it's going to happen by this time, and I'll write things down, I'll put it in a drawer and forget about it. I'll start doing something one day and not continue through, or I'll forget one day and then I'll think to myself, oh, there's no point. But here's the thing, I realised that it's better to start getting and implementing those healthy habits and routines before the new year hits. It really changed everything for me. So let's break it down. Why do New Year's resolutions often fail? Now, one of the first reasons it fails is there are all these unrealistic expectations that we set. We want to have this transformation overnight. We want to achieve these major things in the first week of January, or I'm going to start doing this and by the end of the month I'll have done that. And sometimes it's just so unrealistic. We've gone from doing nothing in this field or in this habit to suddenly trying to ace it by the end of week 1 or week 2. And the second reason why it usually fails is there's a lack of a clear plan of how we're going to get there or accountability. We usually say what we want to do, what we want to achieve, but we don't usually make those smaller goals of how we're going to get there. I think my friend, we were talking recently and she said something funny about how do you eat an elephant? Bit by bit or one bite at a time, and it just is relevant for this too, because usually what we do is we make all these big goals that we're going to do this, we're going to do that, but we don't really include the smaller goals, the smaller action steps that we have to take every day, by the end of the week, by the end of 2 weeks, by the end of the month, to get closer to those goals. And lastly, one of the reasons it never works is because we put too much emphasis on motivation. When it's January 1st, there's all that buzz. People are doing things, you want to do something. There's that huge motivation in the air of starting things afresh, starting things new, but we don't realize that actually ends up putting a lot of pressure on ourselves to make sure we're perfect in doing it. As I said earlier in my story, if you miss a day, you kind of feel, what's the point? Or if you're doing it too slow and you're not reaching your goals as fast as you are because you thought it's going to be quicker, you start losing motivation. So we have that huge emphasis on motivation, but what happens in February when all the excitement of January, the new year, has gone? What happens when all those people that you're making resolutions with, that you were talking with, during dinner or whatever it was when you're making these plans for the new year, when they all go home and they've all gone and now it's weeks gone by? What's motivating you to keep going then? You need discipline, but we rest too much on motivation, which again naturally is going to fade after January 1st, going in through to February. Now, the reason I said that it's better to start before January 1st hits is because we can get that time to start building momentum. Now, if we start sort of developing those routines and those healthy habits starting early, by the time January 1st hits, the first week of January hits, even during that first month, we've already built up that momentum where we're already doing those habits, we're already implementing those into our daily lives. We also have that great advantage of changing, tweaking our routines as we go before we have that perfect start. So if we wait till January 1st to start implementing the new habit, suddenly we might realize actually this is not working, it's not practical, it's not working out. When you start implementing those routines, those healthy habits, way before January even starts, you get that chance to start playing with the routine, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work, and trying to get the perfect routine for you so that by the time January 1st hits, you don't have to figure out if this routine is going to work, if this healthy habit that you're incorporating is going to work. You've already worked through those pains, those struggles, and you've already got to a point where you have a routine and a habit already in place that aligns with your daily lifestyle habits already. And one of the biggest advantages of starting this way is psychologically, at least for me, you have that feeling of already having started, implemented, and being set in something without the pressure of starting new, as we said in the beginning. So don't wait until January 1st, that first week of January, when I know the motivation is going to be there to start those new goals. I really encourage you, whatever it is, start now. If, for example, you think that you might want to look for a new job, maybe now is the time to get out that CV and have a look at it. Maybe think about, maybe you don't have to do it, but at least think about those changes that you want to make on that CV. So when the new year rolls around, you already have that start on your CV. You don't have to have that psychological thing where you're like, oh no, it's such a big task and I've got to start it now. And the thing is, it could be anything. So whatever it is, start now. If you want to start being more healthier and more active, maybe start going for walks now. Maybe start joining that gym, get that membership now. Don't wait until the new year. Although one thing I will say is sometimes they do have sort of joining membership discounts for the new year. But regardless of that, you can still start now by going for those works, doing those home workouts, just so that when January 1st hits and rolls around, you're already almost there. Another thing is, if you want to, for example, take driving lessons, maybe start looking for those driving schools right now, those instructors that you can use to get those driving lessons. Maybe you want to do something creative. Maybe now's the time to start thinking about that portfolio you want to create, or just getting things together so that you have your body of work. So after the new year, you've already made that start. It can be anything, even if it's healthy eating. Maybe start replacing some of the junk food right now for the healthier food alternatives, rather than waiting for January 1st and almost having like changing everything at once. Maybe start cleaning out the cupboards and getting out some of the junk food, replacing it with the healthy food and starting now, or even just getting healthier alternatives. The point is, whatever it is, even cleaning your house or just your own goals in terms of what it is that you want to do. Maybe you're thinking of going to university, maybe you're thinking of, a career change, whatever it is, make those sort of notes now. Start thinking about it now. Take those little actions that you can now to build the momentum, so that when the new year rolls around, you're already on your way there. Also, get that advantage right now of implementing these steps right now, so that by the time the new year rolls around, you've already made changes to the routines. You already know what works, what doesn't work. So you're in just a better standing for when the new year hits. So that's my short video on not waiting for the new year and starting now. Remember, just take one action and start now. Another thing I want to leave you with is something that I read before, and it said, change doesn't happen because of a date on a calendar. It happens by the choices you take, one step at a time. So I just want to leave you with that thought before I go. And just as usual, I do want to say, if you haven't already subscribed, I do encourage you to consider subscribing, like, comment, share. And of course, thank you so much for taking the time and watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.